This is another 6-player fixed card game which is being played with public lobby randoms with no rank limitation, meaning that I could be playing with anyone from novice to grandmaster. I'm the red player in this game, and from what it looks like I have a decent shot at Africa. Well, actually not anymore, the blue bot hates me. And then it looks like the purple player has just added some troops there. So he will fight it out with the bot, I guess. But not sure. I think I will try to move into Europe. The pink player will obviously go for Australia, the black player for South America, and will probably want to expand to North America. The purple player is going for Africa, the green player is either desperate to go for Asia or just moving closer to Australia, and the blue player is a bot. So, Europe really looked like the best shot, but it looks the pink player didn't go for Australia like I was expecting, and what he did is put his troops in Europe. So I'm not sure. I think I might even be without a continent at all, but maybe there's still possibility to go for North America. It really looks like one of these options, so I guess unless the pink player will be too quick to wipe out the troops from Europe, or the purple player from Africa, in that case I might steal one of these continents from them. And I will guess it will be Africa. The purple player just took all of these territories the blue bot captured, except obviously the 8 troops army, which is going to retake those African territories again, so it will be a fight with windmills for him, I guess. So that looks quite promising for me. I might get Africa for sure. But it's too soon to say for now, and with the black player moving his North American troops towards South America, I think it makes the most sense for me to intend going for North America, as that's obviously the continent nobody is going for. So I'm just not sure what the black player will want to do next. South American players are usually looking to expand to North America, or another option is Africa, but with the purple player going for Africa it might be more likely for black to go for North America. Or maybe the black player could just use the South American turtle strategy, and just like build a secondary army in Asia, to have some territories to attack to get some cards, so to not get blocked. But I think I really see how it is. The black player will very likely expand to North America as his next plan. I think he left his 9 troops on the territory of Central America for a reason. It is to declare that he is not letting me get North America, and he would like to take over it himself. And with him already capturing South America, which will be giving 2 extra continental troops for him, it would be the battle which I wouldn't afford to fight. And to waste some troops on black while I wouldn't be even guaranteed of other players letting me hold North America, or just to basically self-destroy myself by doing that would be dumb. So I think for that reason I won't go for North America anymore. And I'm not going to build a bigger army in North America either. I will just eventually move out. Otherwise the black player, once he has enough troops, could decide to take me out if I be an obstacle in his way. So I think it might be even better if the black player captured North America, as then probably some other players could think that he is becoming greedy and start a conflict with him, which if I'm neutral, I should be able to survive. Looks like pink and especially purple are so desperate to get rid of the blue bot in the close area. The pink player even wiped out some blue's territories in Africa, the continent he doesn't even go for. So that's a bit weird. First time I see the players being so passionate about attacking a bot. But that's really good for me, I guess. If they become weak, they will be soon eliminated. And the fewer players in the game, the bigger probability will become for me to win, right? Of course, if we take away the diplomacy and psychology aspects, just taking into account a pure number. But right now, I didn't build some serious relationships with any of the players, and none of them seem to be the biggest enemies between each other either. So I don't really have a clear preference to see which players I would like to see go. So just of course the black player is being a problem for me by refusing to let me go for North America, which a bit sucks being the only one player who won't get any continent. And it's not the most ideal for me. What if I build an army in North America, then the black player will be pressured, or if I build an army in Asia, then the green player could feel pressured by me. So I don't really have too good of a neutral spot, I guess. and the black player is showing a strong intention to deter me from going for North America. He cares way less about protecting his border against purple. Too bad I only have a 6 troop set, otherwise I would take the pink player out and go for Europe, but now he is going to trade it in and survive. But I decided to still bring my army 1 territory closer to the pink player as would if he actually doesn't have a set. I mean, the black player isn't that strong yet, so I think I still have enough time to move out from North America, even if I don't go into Europe but have to turn my army away towards Asia. But the good news is that the pink player either didn't have or didn't trade in a set at 4 cards, meaning that I still could intend to go for him to get his 5 cards. I mean, he still has a lot of troops, and for the cards it might not be so much worth it, but my priority isn't in that. My priority is to actually get a place where I could belong to, especially some potential continent where I could start gaining some extra troops. Asia is the place in which I wouldn't like to be either, along with North America, as the green player, differently than a lot of other Australian turtle players, doesn't make his army blocked, so I wouldn't like that. With him feeling irritated by me building a big army in Asia, he would eventually decide to take me out. So let's actually go for the pink player. I still got the 6 troop set, but I think that's really worth the risk anyway. The reward is just too good. Finally, I would be able to feel like a decent player in this game. Let's send A here to my ally green. I think it would be the best to just capture Europe immediately. Though there's a possibility that the blue bot will trade in a set and break through my border. So I think I will capture one of his territory in North America to possibly direct him to another side. It looks like this AI is a stacker, only adds its troops to one territory and attacks everything in the way. So I should be careful, not sure which way it will actually attack to. It might have been a smart idea to remove my 6 troops army on that Asian territory in the way too, as now if the bot trades in a set, then I'm losing one of these armies for sure, no matter which direction the bot goes to. And yeah, I knew it. At least the bot has crushed the 5 troops army of the black player too, instead of continuing going through my 3 troops army and breaking into Europe. So far my position looks weak, but I will trade in a set for my 5 cards. But oh no, purple. Don't you ever mess with the European player as the African player. Why, we just cannot be friends. What would be the purpose for both of us to destroy ourselves in a mutually destroying way and let the green and black player fight it out for the first place? Like, we even share 3 borders with each other. Why wouldn't you mess with another more suitable player? So for example black, who has a weak defense on his border, and plus a lot of troops in North America which he couldn't immediately use on retaliating at you. But unless some other player helps you out, I would recommend you to not start any conflict. It would actually be the best for both of us to work in a mutually beneficial way and shrink the borders to 2 borders each. You could only guard North Africa and Middle East, while I Iceland and Ukraine. This is what we could do if the purple player showed the initiative and intended to be friends. But on the other hand, the green and black players are quite stronger than us, so personally I wouldn't like to put pressure on them as I don't think they're going to attack me. I'm the player who gets the biggest troop bonuses per turn, so I think it's in just my best interest to play more passively and catch up the other players the troop-wise and then even surpass them. But the black and green players could obviously team up on me if they wanted to prevent that from happening, and differently from the purple players' case, I couldn't really properly retaliate to them. Australia is one border, and only one border of South America is accessible for me as well. So I wouldn't be really able to invade them into their continents without suiciding, which I wouldn't do. Actually, a good thing that the black player doesn't really capture North America, even though he easily could. I guess he doesn't want to bring the attention towards himself. But that's really good that I'm projected to be the strongest player. Meaning that if neither player wants to take some initiative to progress the game, eventually I could become strong enough to take one of them out, so the game would be progressed this way, which isn't in their best interest. Or of course I could just stay as passive as possible during the entire game, and refuse to take somebody out without a good reason, and just wait till the players start disconnecting, which in this case it would favor me the most as the strongest player. Though the position matters too, so hopefully it wouldn't be the purple player who disconnects, as then his bot would smash all of his stacks into Europe. Actually the blue bot is surviving more than he should. The players had the ability to eliminate him and it was even worth for the cards. But on the other hand, it might be even good to keep the blue bot in the game for me personally. As what I would like is that the bot would prevent the black player from capturing North America without wasting troops. Of course the black player doesn't really show a strong intention to capture North America right now, but that's possible that he could change his mind soon. This game at this point looks a bit stalemating, as nobody is neither provocating something, nor drastically expanding, which would bring the attention towards themselves. So it looks like these players know some basics of the turtling strategies and also how to be a good neighboring player. But also at the same time nobody of them really know teaming up strategies or just doesn't want to go with them, including me. But I mean the only person I'm allied with is green. The purple and black players have been ignoring my alliance requests, though while we are not enemies, and that works for us in the same way like we would be in a casual neutral alliance either way, the thing is that we couldn't really coordinate our attacks. And the fastest way to stop stalemates is to make coordinated attacks with other players. So like for example, if 3 of us started ganging up on one of the players, we would quickly get ourselves to the 3-player situation. But I guess even 2 of us working together on one of the players in a mutually beneficial way could make a wonder. The purple player is currently the weakest, so it would be the easiest to team up on him, if we don't count the bot, which is obviously not a really big threat. But if I started randomly attack one of the players, it wouldn't really work, as 2 other players would just probably stay to the turtling strategy, the most common strategy used by more experienced players, and they would probably even think what I'm dumb by initiating conflict and that I'm increasing their odds to win. So I would probably just lose the continent as the result, since I have the most vulnerable one, with the game still being in a stalemating situation. And like mentioned, I couldn't coordinate attacks with the purple and black players or tell them to attack someone anyway, as they simply don't accept my alliance request. So the only option for me is green. But if he doesn't show a serious initiative to team up on someone, then probably I shouldn't really start initiating a conflict by myself, as I really need to be confident that another player would help me out instead of continuing turtling. And in my experience, other experienced players don't really help you out and just stick to turtling, or what they only do is just attack territories made of ones, or even sometimes some smaller armies, but nothing really serious. The attack player just starts putting all the troops into one big army, and if you manual roll it or crush some troops into it, your ally won't usually follow. So the probability-wise it doesn't worth the risk to initiate some bigger attack or more provocative move first. It's usually better to join another player already attacking someone or so. And OMG guys, I cannot believe that the purple player is giving me a good dose of laughter. Like he is seriously digging a grave for himself. This time I'm not a good Samaritan, this time I won't turn the other cheek. This time I will become his biggest nemesis. If he doesn't understand that you shouldn't really attack a player who you share multiple borders with, and especially when he is stronger, then that's fine. We will both be without a continent and reduce our chances to get to the 3-player situation. I mean, that would be in a standard way when we both would be equally strong. But in this case I'm stronger and about to trade in a set, so I think I will just take the purple player out. The green and black players seem to be perfectly balancing each other out the troop-wise, so just the only other thing I should take into account is that after taking the purple player out, I wouldn't be worth to be taken out for the cards by neither of the players. So honestly, after capturing Africa and invading purple into Europe, I think I will stop and leave it for another turn. I want that after taking the purple player out I will trade in a set, rather than to take him out now and end up being with a bunch of cards. The purple player is at 2 cards, so I know that he cannot use them to trade in a set, and with that I think it perfectly makes sense for me to take him out next turn. Interesting thing that after me taking over Africa, the black player fortified more troops to defend his Brazilian border, even though I don't guard against him at all. That could possibly indicate that he was having more of a good alliance with the purple player instead of treating everyone more or less equally, or maybe he just thinks that he will be able to take me out and set his troops up in the position. But he wouldn't afford taking me out, that would be suiciding, as it would give away the game for green. But anyway, the most important thing is that the purple player is getting eliminated, or I mean basically anyone at this point, so we would finally get to the 3-player situation. And this is what I mentioned in the beginning: if they let me hold Europe instead of teaming up on me to prevent me from holding it, then after some time I will have enough troops to take one of them out, and this is what happened. The purple player was actually the only one who showed the initiative to prevent me from holding Europe. He invaded me back then when I just captured it for the first time. But nobody followed him to help him out, and with me recapturing it we were just neutral neighbors, so we wouldn't destroy each other. It could have been a good teaming up opportunity, of course, if not taking into account that it isn't usually a great idea to attack a player who you share a lot of borders with in a 4 or more player situation, but luckily the green player was my ally, and the black player didn't show any initiative to help out the purple player either. But then it was very weird after multiple turns with me getting stronger to see the purple player attacking me again. I mean, if nobody helped him out back then it was pretty much expected the same again. Or if any of these players sent the attack request for the purple player to attack me, then they really threw the purple player under the bus. I would say that wasn't very smart idea for the purple player to attack me again. It would have been much more helpful for the purple player to have a strong alliance with me, since we were sharing a lot of borders, and suggest me to team up on one of our opponents. So for example, the easiest one would have been black. But at the same time I assume that they both might have had an alliance between each other, but who knows. Talking about the current situation, I'm obviously the weakest, so I will just try to turtle and catch up my opponents the troop-wise again. The green and black players are much stronger than me, so they could team up on me in a mutually beneficial way and potentially get into the 2-player endgame, or they could attack each other and get to my troops level, so then I would be able to help out one of them as well. The green player is my ally, so he could attack black to get to my troops level, so I would have an initiative to attack the black player as well without him taking the advantage of me. But in overall, let's remember that it's a public lobby game in which people suicide a lot, so we probably all know that the most optimal play is to play as passively as possible without initiating bigger conflicts which could make other players very mad. By saying to attack my territory if you need to the green player, I was hoping him to capture either Asia or North America and properly guard one of them against black. So that would potentially initiate a conflict between one of them and some more of the troops would be crushed. But the green player eventually captured Asia without properly guarding it, and it looks like he doesn't have a serious intent to take over North America either. So that doesn't really work out for me, but hopefully the black player will be more pushy himself and might provocate some conflict. In 3-player situations like this in public lobbies, usually what happens is one of the players ends up suiciding on another one, giving the 3rd player a win. But I'm not sure how I could force that happening between the green and black players. Or I of course could attack one of them, but then the player to get suicided on would be me. So I just keep turtling, otherwise I would very likely become the most annoying player. To win a fixed card game, what you want to achieve is that other players would be much more dissatisfied about each other than about you. And it currently looks that the black and green players feel more irritated by each other than on me. So far something major hasn't happened yet, but if they keep pushing on themselves, maybe something eventually will. This is what I hope of happening, and I just keep patiently waiting. And maybe my prayers have been already heard. As the green player just invaded black into Africa, crushing his smaller army of 10 troops. It's still nothing too big, but that looks as a promising start. Though what I noticed is that while they try to intimidate each other, they don't really push too hard on that. they keep backing out or not going the full force. So like for example the green player just took over Africa, but instead of leaving his army on the black player's border, he fortified his army on the other border. So he wants and doesn't want to attack the black player at the same time. And it might be a smart way to avoid losing a bunch of troops. But either way, I appreciate the green player's efforts to make this game less stalemating. Myself, I'm still weaker than both of the players, so I still keep turtling. Even though I would like to do something. But at the same time I know it wouldn't be really optimal. I probably wouldn't mind if the ranking system would treat all losing places equally, and would only highly reward the first one, but right now how it is that the second place is too much rewarding, so a lot of players instead of playing to win, just take the second place when they become some more bothered by some player. So to avoid that of happening, you're kinda forced to play passively. Otherwise, if all losing places would be worth the same, then it wouldn't matter for you whether you finish in the third or second place, and if you wanted to rank up, you would always have to play for the first place, to always play to win, and since it wouldn't matter for you in which losing place whether in second or third you would finish, then you would have an initiative to go with more aggressive plays, as you would know that nobody would suicide on you for the ranking purposes, so it would be in your best interest to play more aggressively and make the games less stalemating, as it would save you a lot of time. And I also think it would make the game much more fun. A lot of players including me just hate turtling, but they're encouraged to do it if they want to optimize their strategy to finish in as higher place as possible. Anyway, what I noticed is that the green player is building a big army on the African border and threatening the black player, but while he couldn't break through this border, he could definitely do it through the black's Asian border, so I came up with a sneaky play to capture territories in the way to unleash the green player's Australian army towards the Asian border without making it too obvious, but maybe it's still very obvious. But with the green player blocking his army again instead of going to invade black into North America, and then fortifying some troops on his African army, but that it still wouldn't be a bigger army than the black player's one. What conclusion I could make for myself is that while the green player is pointing a gun at the black player, he actually doesn't intend to pull the trigger. So it doesn't look too much promising for me to winning anytime soon if the things will be kept the way they are, as the black player isn't looking to seriously crush some bigger army of the green player either. So the game still keeps stalemating and I'm still the weakest player. The green and black players have their biggest armies on the borders next to each other, and that might do a wonder. At least this is what happens when playing with less experienced players. They get really irritated by each other in the arms race, as none of them wants to have fewer troops on the border than their opponent, and they're really scared of being eventually invaded, so one of them eventually loses the patience and crushes the other player's army, giving the third player a win. But in this case it looks like both of my opponents, green and black, are reasonable. So that might not really actually happen. Though what I noticed is that while the green player doesn't too seriously attack the black player, he is really pushing on him, so I think it might be worth for me to step in and actually crush some troops of the black player to potentially encourage the green player make some more serious attacks himself as well, even though I'm still weaker. But if neither black nor green suicide on each other, then I think my best play would be to help out the green player to attack black. The green player has been a good ally all the game and is really pushing on black, while the black player only accepted my alliance late in the game and just that I would be fine of him capturing North America, and with us being neutral towards each other anyway, the alliance wasn't really needed, and what the black player doing is backing out from the green player's pushing. So it makes more sense for me to support the attacker as he is already attacking, rather than the defender, as he might not really help me out to attack the attacker as well. And that's really nice that the green player followed and crushed a big army of the black player's troops as well. I think my best move right now is to wipe out the black player from North America and make him trapped in South America. He won't have an access to attack any territories, and with him being really pissed, he might just suicide on the green player. But he'd just back out and moved into South America to intend using the South American turtle strategy. And this is why the South American turtle strategy can sometimes suck. You could just become totally blocked and isolated from the world. And now I didn't attack the black player's territory because I know a very important wisdom: if the black player has access to the green player's army only, then the only person he could suicide on is the green player. So that's pretty smart by me, right? Unfortunately though, neither the black player is suiciding on green, nor the green player is taking out black to give me a win either like I thought. Now the black player fortified his army next to me, and I'm not sure if I'm the one the black player wants to suicide on, or if he is just trying his luck to see if I back out. And I didn't want to risk of getting suicided on, so I decided to back out. The green player, by having quite more troops than me, doesn't make it mutually beneficial by not getting to my troops level by crushing some troops into the black player, and with me being weaker I won't start crushing some troops into the black player either, so I just decided to let the black player get out of the trap. But alright, after the black player took over Australia, the green player suicides on him and I get the first place. I think it would have been much more fun if we started crushing some troops into the black player and one of us won in this way, while working in a mutually beneficial way trying to outsmart each other. But I think the green player was not aware of that possibility, and with that I get an easy win. And while I could take out the green player immediately, I think it will be more fun if I gave him an important lesson on why in the endgame he should never block his biggest army in Australia like that. I will teach him and at the same time you guys how to set up and use the 4 continents endgame strategy, in which you take over both of the Americas, Africa and Europe, and use Ukraine, Middle East and either Alaska or Kamchatka as the 3 borders to guard. In your turn you receive a big continental troop bonus, and in this way you can win even if you're weaker. In this case I was stronger, but I thought it would be still great to show this strategy for you guys. And now for the most optimized risk strategy, I would recommend you checking this video out. Check it out and dominate your games as well.